3 is about 3 family members who were on vacation. It's a father, a daughter, and a son. And they're on their way back to their apartment. They get a flat tire. The father makes it to a rest stop area. He changes the tire while the kids are having fun. And in between him changing the tire and before they get back on the road, we get the critters who find a way to sneak into this person's truck and hitchhike all the way to their apartment. And that is where the critters are going to terrorize the people in this apartment complex. Boy, that was a mouthful. Hey everybody, how you doing out there? And welcome to my right in the middle franchise of Critters. I'm on number 3. We got 4 and we got attacks rolling around whenever I get them out. Just like I mentioned in part 2, if you're curious about my opinion of this movie, let alone the whole franchise, go right back to part 1, maybe watch like the first 2 minutes of that here, and just like part 2, I just want to jump right into the likes and the dislikes. So the first like I would like to throw out here is there is an older lady in this movie. She's with her husband in one of the apartments, and she is the grandmother to Adam Sandler's character in Happy Gilmore. Now this movie I believe came out 5 years before Happy Gilmore, which I do really enjoy that movie. At the time, I used to like Adam Sandler, and that was a damn good sports movie and a damn good comedy. But I know that might be kind of a low like of just seeing a kind of a kind of a side character in the movie. But she mostly did that I know of a lot of comedies, so just kind of cool to actually say, hey, she was actually in at least one horror movie in her life there. So, and I think that she does the best that she actually can in this movie here too. And then the final like, yes, the final like, when it comes to the critters and the spikes on their back, they go full force using those spikes. In the first one, they may have used like a handful on certain characters. In the second one, they may have only used like 1 or 2 of the spikes. That was actually it there. But in this one, this is where they're definitely terrorizing the people in the apartment complex here. When they use those spikes there, I'm actually having a good time. And now moving on to the dislikes. Well, overall of this movie, all I'm going to say is, what the hell did I just watch? Well, first off, I could say this. I did not watch anything that was entertaining or enjoyable or fun in any way here, because this story is boring. This story is dull. The cast of characters that we get in this, I know I said I wasn't too thrilled with the ones in part 2, but my God, the ones in this one, I didn't like a single character. And I think I've said this in a couple of my Friday the 13th reviews. If you've seen some of those ones, I just can't remember which ones they were though, where I said, oh, I kind of did not like the cast at all, and I wish that Jason would have actually won that one. This is kind of one of the ones where I actually kind of feel like that the critters could have actually won, or nobody actually survived in this movie. Maybe that would have made this movie slightly better in Act 3, truthfully, there. When it comes to the 3 family members that we follow for the most part, the father, the daughter, and the son, well, the son, I think, does the best that he can. He's actually the younger of the 2 siblings. I think he does okay. But whenever it comes to the father, we'll go with him first there, or next, is that he pretty much ignores his kids. And it seems like all he cares about is that he's a workaholic, but they never exactly explain what he does for a job. I mean, it kind of sounded like that maybe through the daughter talking about, hey, couldn't you stay home for another couple days before you go out on the road? Almost sounded like maybe he was a truck driver. That's why it seems like the kids are usually home by themselves for like several weeks, it seems like. I don't know. But the father just, I don't know. It's like that's all he cared about when they're actually home having dinner. It's like he's like 50 miles away. Sure, his body's there, but it feels like his mind is way, way somewhere else. And sometimes the daughter actually has to give the father attitude. And sometimes I'm not the biggest fan whenever you get a teenage girl or boy, have to giving attitude towards parents, especially if you like those kind of parents and they're trying the best that they can. They seem nice, they seem sweet. But with this one, I can't blame her because the father just does not give a damn about them. And that's kind of sad. I don't like to see characters like that where the parents do not give 2 shits about their own kids. When it comes to Leonardo DiCaprio, oh my God, he was another character that he did not know how to act one bit. I'm glad that he continued and he started actually doing better as an adult. I'm not a big fan of him overall, but in this movie, in this particular character, I didn't like anything about him. You know, he's just like, he's just there, and that's all I could really say about him here. I mean, anybody else, like in the apartment complex, you got like this maintenance guy, I forget the guy's name, he's nothing but a pervert, he's nothing but an asshole to everybody. You have, I think her name's Marcy, I believe. She actually works for the phone company, and she lives there. She's actually one of the only interesting characters I like, but then the thing is, they try to do some, I guess the best way is saying some like slapstick and stupid stuff with this character later on in the movie that all I could do is just roll my eyes that they even thought about thinking that that was going to be funny in any way there. And I was just like, oh my God, the Three Stooges would have pulled something like that off perfectly, but not in a movie like this to try to go that way. You got the critters themselves, that this is the first time, and maybe the only time we'll see, that I did not give any care about them. It just, they tried to make, I look at it this way, they were not creepy, they were not silly, they were just there. It was just like they're there trying to terrorize, and other than the scenes I just mentioned about them shooting spikes at certain people in the complex, the rest of the time I didn't care what they were doing. And that's what I don't understand, where they're trying to eat us humans, or even actually eat our animals, like I believe they did in part 2, which I think they went after a couple cows, I believe. I think they even took out a dog. But in this one, they're actually eating like human food at one point, where there's a scene where everybody was in one person's apartment, and they were able to find a way to climb up to this crawl space and get away. And the next thing I know, because the critters couldn't get to them there, they just made them look like damn fools, where they were like eating baked beans, and they were eating desserts, and they were throwing, was it sugar or a flour? I don't know. It was one of those there all over these puppets there, and I'm just like, I didn't really care. I mean, I thought the puppet work was okay, I would say at best there, but I'm like, no, I just didn't care one bit about them. And then another character was Charlie once again. Yes, I thought he was okay in part 2. Man, I'm wondering why I thought this guy was so cool and so good whenever I was like back in high school. I don't know. I don't know what I liked about him, but now as an adult, I'm like, again, here's the thing. He's only in like 2 or 3 scenes technically. I mean, towards the end, he's in them longer. When we first see him pretty early into the movie, it's like, oh, okay, cool. He's right there at this rest stop area, and then we actually don't see him for almost an hour. And then when we see him again, I actually forgot he was even in this movie. Where at least the first 2, he's present in most of these scenes. But in this one, I'm like, okay, we see him at the beginning, and then we don't see him until pretty much like Act 3. The story, they were in one little location for most of the movie in this apartment complex. Now, I'm normally a sucker when it comes to like small areas like that there, but in this one, because I was so bored to tears watching this movie thinking I was going to fall asleep, I was just like, yeah, the story was just bad. The dialogue, as I was talking about with some of the characters, some of their lines that they have to deliver, I'm just like, oh my God, this is what they needed to say, and there's just nothing interesting. There's no impact going on when it comes to this. I mean, like I said, I'm not invested, engaged with any of these characters, the story, the script itself. I thought this was directed horribly. I was not thrilled the way that this was actually directed one bit here. When it comes to the comedy, everything falls flat for me. I don't think I laughed once, or maybe a couple quick chuckles, maybe I did. The action scenes were shit. I was just like, there's nothing really fun with those action scenes like they at least were in the first 2. And the final dislike is the last 2 to 3 minutes of this movie, and no spoilers, of course. All I'm really going to say is go fuck yourself, because I could not believe what they wanted us to actually believe at the very end with just a little bit of dialogue with 2 characters. I was like, oh, get get out of town with like shit like that. I was just like, oh really? Critters 3, I'm gonna go a half a star out of 4. So have you seen this particular sequel? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Give me a comment down below. I'll be kind of curious to see how many people agree or disagree with me on this. Thank you guys so much for watching this next review here. I do appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.